You guys, I have officially upgraded to a bigger, badder laundry basket, and it's like out of control. It's like, I don't know if this is good or bad. Like, it allows me to put more laundry in here, allowing me to procrastinate even longer. We love that for us. Oi! Hello, welcome back to another Fold and Chat. How are y'all doing? I hope that things are going great. By the way, I will leave the link to this basket down below if you're interested. A friend of mine had these like all over. Oh my God, you guys. I feel like today I'm like so pregnant. I feel like I have entered into my third trimester, but I feel like today for some reason I've just like entered a new level of huge. So bear with me. A friend of mine has these all over her house. She uses them for everything, for laundry, to hold blankets, to hold yoga mats. I mean, she has them like literally everywhere. It's nuts. And so I had to try one, and it's great. They're just like so big. You need to have the space to have it. But because we don't have a linen closet, I was like, oh, that would be great to keep like blankets and stuff in. Cut to me just filling it up with laundry that I need to fold here on my channel. By the way, pause this video if you have a chore or task that you've been putting off. This is a perfect video to play while you do your mundane things. Okay, here we go now. I have been putting off answering this question. I try my best to like read all your comments, to address things that you're curious about. You know, specifically for these videos, I'm like, okay, great. Like, if you have a topic that you want me to talk about, I'm grateful for the suggestion and happy to like cover that. But this particular topic, I started getting asked about pretty early on in my pregnancy. And then now I'm seeing it like come back around. And I've been putting off talking about it because I felt like it ironically wasn't relevant to my current situation until now. So I'm finally ready to address the question that everyone has been asking, which is, how am I dealing with my pre-existing, or like well-known, at least here on my channel, I've talked about it before, medical anxiety now that I'm pregnant and you know, the baby is on its way. How am I dealing with that? I thought it was so interesting that people were asking that question, because clearly that means A, either you're going through a similar thing, or B, you've been following me for a long time and you know that that's something that I've struggled with in the past. So listen, it's different for everyone. Again, I'm just going to be sharing my personal journey and my personal opinion and my personal struggles and all that. But I feel like I've been pretty lucky during this pregnancy for several reasons. Mostly that, like, well, first, it's been very easy on me. Medically speaking, I had a very easy breezy first trimester. I didn't get the typical sickness stuff that a lot of women get. I was not puking. I think I was nauseous like one day, maybe, if that. The hardest stuff that I had to sort of conquer in the first trimester was all like emotional stuff, which I think I've talked about before, specifically in these folding videos. So I'll try to link that above and or below. So yeah, my main challenges have sort of been like mental, like dealing with the hormone swings, but not in terms of like mental stress about my health. So I think I was lucky in that like the pregnancy was kicked off pretty calmly and gently in terms of medical stuff. So that kind of set me on this path of zen. Also, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just like tapped into the universe. Maybe I'm just like, okay, energy out begets energy in. But I have been like super zen about this whole process in terms of her and her health. of course, it's like very easy to worry, especially when you have these like marker appointments that are like, okay, this is like the big appointment to see if she's grown, like stuff like that. But for some reason, I've been totally like, she's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. She's healthy, she's growing, she's wonderful, and things are great. I don't know where that came from. I don't know, again, if it's like a sixth sense that I'm tapping into, or it's just like this like positive projection, but I just have not been overly concerned about her. And I think overall that makes my medical anxiety about like me so much easier. I guess like going into pregnancy, just generally speaking, again, I was very lucky, and I know how lucky I am that I got pregnant very quickly. But leading up to that, like the years leading up to that, in terms of talking with friends and doctors and figuring out, like before I had even met Jeff, like, do I want to freeze eggs? Do I want to go through that whole process? I was always also so unlike me, a very like hippie standpoint that was just like, if it's meant to be, it'll be, man. And like when the time comes, we'll try, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then we'll cross that bridge. And it seems to like that mantra and that mentality just seems to be working in my favor. Again, easier said than done, not diminishing like the process for anyone. Like every time Jeff and I are like watching TV and we see a commercial for anything that has to do with like, you know, fertility, or somebody's struggling to get pregnant, like we literally like pause the TV, look at each other, and like thank our lucky stars. This has just been such a blessing. And listen, we still have so much more to go. And so I'm trying not to be like too superstitious about it, but I want to be like frank about my situation so that you get the backstory on how I've been handling and why I haven't had extreme health anxiety. Okay, so there's that. I also have really been minimizing the amount of information I'm taking in at the risk of being ignorant, which is very on brand for me, just generally speaking. But I knew that, like, first of all, I knew that Google would be the end of me, mental health wise. So not to Google things, and to really just refer to this one book that I was gifted from a friend who's had 2 kids. And Jeff and I just like refer to that one book if and when something pops up. It's called Expecting 411. I'll leave the link below. So we consult that book, specifically more in like the first trimester when things were happening. We consult we follow one app, which is more like, they do like tell you each week what should be happening in your body, and like what's happening in the baby's body, and like what symptoms you might be feeling. And I've actually been pretty like by the book, no pun intended, by the app, on that. Like I'm kind of just seemingly hitting like every milestone that goes along with that. So we've just been consulting that one app. That's, oh boogers, I can't remember the name of the app. What to expect, or what expect it. I'll leave the link to that too. So one book, one app. And then, I mean, I have been lucky enough that one of my like oldest and dearest friends that I went to elementary school with is a nurse practitioner at the OBGYN, which is how I got referred to our doctor. And I have been going to her for years just for like regular pap smears, etc. And she has been kind of our guide through all of this. So if we have like extreme questions, if we're nervous about anything, then we can just like consult her. So I really limited the amount of voices and information and like Google searches. I just don't do them. And I think that's really helped. It's easy to like go down that rabbit hole and to start reading like all the scary stuff, but I'm like, it's just the stress isn't going to help me. So if an issue arises, then I know where to go to consult and get information about it. Otherwise, I'm just letting it go. Also, like, okay, well, let me jump ahead Enter third trimester. Whoa. I feel like all of a sudden, all the symptoms, like everything is happening. Like I've been talking about this in the last couple of weeks, but like I started getting like frequently dizzy, short of breath. Sometimes my heart's racing, like all the things that would normally pre-pregnancy really set me off onto like a full panic. One of my like biggest fears and like irrational anxieties is like passing out in public. Just one of those fun things that I have. Have I ever? No. I think I've passed out once in my life, and that was after a piercing, like rightfully so, like it made sense. Even in my dizziest of days, I haven't passed out, but like that is just such a big fear of mine. And so all these like symptoms that I'm now having pre-pregnancy would like normally like really trip me up. And I feel like it's starting, like the anxieties are starting to creep back now that these symptoms are like more prevalent. However, I think there is some comfort in knowing that like all of these, like, first of all, pregnancy is wild and your body is doing some crazy things. I'm a small human and I'm creating another human. Like, these things that are happening are totally justified and like totally normal. Sure, maybe I need more iron. Sure, like I can tweak and rest more, or like, you know, drink more water. Like there's things that I should and can be doing, and my body's obviously signaling that. But like knowing, like rationally knowing that what is happening and what I'm feeling is normal, and like chances are many pregnant women are also feeling these things, somehow takes the stress out of it. It's just like, okay, there's a justification for this, and I think that cuts the anxiety. Because a lot of like my medical anxiety is just like feeling out of control and not knowing why I feel a certain way, or what it means. And I think because like I know it's because pregnancy, it helps. So take that if you're suffering and you're struggling. It's like, yeah, I mean, you're growing a human. It's like a really intense process. And like, you know, there's some major, very obvious symptoms that will happen if something really major and serious is wrong. So we also kind of leaned into that, like at the very beginning. That's like, oh, no, like, okay, you have a cramp, totally normal. It feels scary because you're like, I shouldn't be feeling that. Is the baby okay? But it's like, trust me, you will know, like you absolutely know if something is not okay. And I think I leaned into that as well. So yeah, I feel like maybe in the last, we went to a doctor's appointment and I was telling the doctor that I was dizzy. This was like a specialist doctor, not our OB. And he was like, oh, you know, women like sometimes pass out, like it's totally normal, but like if that should happen, like definitely like, you know, go to the labor delivery, like not the ER, but like something like that. And like whatever. And he was just saying all this because he's like has to say it, but then he was like, it's chances are it's like, you know, you just need to drink more water and get your iron in and go a little bit slower, get up and down a little bit slower, blah, blah, blah. But even him just like saying that and giving me this prompt to like, if it should happen, this is what you do. That night I came home and I was like, Jeff, I just need to like let you know I'm like definitely spiraling. I like am going down this rabbit hole. It set me off. And like Jeff quickly like talked me down from that. He's like, we know what to do, but that's totally normal. You're totally fine. Everything's great. Sit down. Here's an ice pack. Put your feet up. Like, you know, like quickly diffused it. And sometimes even just like saying it out loud definitely also helps me diffuse any medical anxiety. All right, so that's where I'm at with, or in terms of like me and how I'm feeling about my personal health. Whoa, sorry, I just heard what like literally sounded like there was like a gremlin coming from my bathroom. Talk about anxiety. So yeah, oh, and in terms of like, so, okay, so that's like how I'm feeling like presently and how I've been dealing with it up to this point. Then I saw a few questions about like people asking me if how I'm feeling like anxiety wise about the actual like birth, like in the hospital birth. Let me tell you, like me generally in medical buildings, hospitals being like the ultimate one, but even just like going to doctors' offices, the minute I step in, I'm dizzy. Like my anxiety is like ultimate high. Medical offices are very challenging for me. It sets off something. I don't know if this was like a past life thing. I don't feel like I ever really had a dramatic or traumatic experience like in a doctor's office. It just is. It's just, I actually talk about it, I think a little bit in my book. Anyways, so I think because I have been going to the doctor so much, like you kind of just have to do it, it's become a lot easier, and it's like, I know what to expect and I know how to do it. And so that, just the repetition alone has helped, specifically with like blood work too, like kind of just started to get used to it. I hate giving blood, but I'm getting a little bit better about it, and Jeff's always there with me holding my hand, so like that definitely helps. But in terms of like the actual birth, again, I have decided that ignorance, a little bit of ignorance is bliss. I want to be informed, and I want to be able to like know what to ask for, know what my birth plan is, know how to set my boundaries, all that stuff. So I don't want to be like completely like, I don't know what a, you know, the irony of me trying to give an example and then I can't think of anything. Very on brand. Like I want to know exactly what an epidural means, what the side effects of that are, how I will feel on that. Like I want to be educated on all that. That's a conversation for another day if you're interested in hearing all that. So, so same thing with like the pregnancy, in that I picked one book that covers all this, and like I am just reading it slowly, thoroughly, and in small chunks as to not overwhelm myself. And I'm absorbing the information and then I'm letting it be. Because, I mean, ultimately, you can plan and plan and plan, and then there's really just like the plans go out the window when it actually happens. And again, I'm just sort of like kind of leaning into my faith in that like I have the right team behind me. I am healthy. I've been taking care of myself. She's healthy, and like millions of people have babies, and we're gonna just make this work. We're just gonna figure it out. Is this all naive? Is this like a lot of like la 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 la? Maybe, but I'm basically manipulating myself and my brain into like being okay, cool, calm, and collected. And maybe part of that is like ignorance, like I said, but I think also some of it is just like mama instinct. Like I've just kind of kicked into gear and like I'm doing this. I'm this far in. I think like years ago thinking about this, it would have freaked me out, but like here I am, I'm just doing it, and like I don't even really have time, like that much time to think about it, because I have a million things on my plate. I'm starting to get emotional. Why is she getting emotional? Because hormones. I have so many like things on my plate to accomplish in the next couple of months that I'm just going for it, guys. So I don't know if this like completely answered or helped the questions or your like need for answers for your own personal anxieties, but like a lot of it really is just like self-talk, sort of manipulating yourself into believing that it's all going to be cool, whether you believe that or not. It's like that fake confidence when you like are nervous to be in a social situation or something, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna like pretend like I belong here. I'm just gonna pretend like I'm cool. Like if you can trick not only the people around you, but yourself mostly into like believing that, then I mean, you're halfway there. So yeah, that's where I'm at with all of that. Not to say like some days I definitely freak out. But overall, I feel like the panics come from other places, not so much medical, ironically, in this situation. It's more just about like finances and lifestyle and like how am I gonna do this all, and like what is life gonna look like after she comes, and you know, those like middle of the night conversations. But so far, knock on wood, sans like a few like dizzy spells, I haven't really gone down the rabbit hole of like, am I dying? Which, you know, we all are dying, just at different paces. So there you go. That was a bleak way to end this, sorry. I was like all positive and then like, we're all gonna die. Oh my God, look at that, guys. Conquered that. Oh God. Hope this was helpful, interesting, and in focus. I mean, chances are this bad boy is gonna be out of focus the whole time. Look at her. Look at her. Speaking of like medical anxiety, I've been more anxious about her and her health. She is doing really, you're so cute, doing really, really well. But maybe distraction is good as well. Like, because I'm so busy, I've taken on a few extra gigs. Like, I'm trying to nest. She wasn't feeling well. Like, maybe distraction is another key to success when it comes to like quieting your medical anxiety. So there you go. Finally answer that question that you guys have been asking. By the way, do you guys want to do like a proper before baby comes like pregnancy Q&A? Is that interesting to you? If so, let me know in the comments below. Also, do you have like a go-to, I was gonna say cure, that's not the right word, like a crutch or like a go-to like mantra? Like what is your like key to success to like lessen your medical anxiety if you do have it? Let us know in the comments below. It is helpful for everyone watching. I appreciate you guys as always being here, listening, inviting you to join in the conversation down below. Be kind to each other and to yourselves. And yeah, I love you. All right, y'all. I'll see you next time.